FBI Director Kash Patel.
In a world that rarely made room for women who looked like her, one voice dared to rise, bold, brilliant, and utterly unapologetic. Before she was Whoopi Goldberg, she was Karen Johnson, a girl from the New York projects who dreamed of making people laugh even when life gave her nothing to smile about. She wasn't supposed to make it. She wasn't the Hollywood type. No glamorous looks, no powerful connections, no safety net. And yet, she would go on to become one of only 18 people in history to achieve the impossible, winning an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. But behind the laughter was pain. Behind the spotlight, isolation. And behind the fame, a fierce, unbreakable will to be seen, to be heard, to belong. This is the story of a woman who didn't just break barriers. She laughed her way through them. A story of faith, fire, and fearlessness. This is Whoopi Goldberg. Karen Elaine Johnson was born on November 13, 1955, in the Chelsea projects of Manhattan, a concrete jungle where dreams were often the first to die. Her father, a preacher, left early, leaving her mother, Emma, to raise Whoopi and her brother alone. Emma worked double shifts as a nurse, her hands rough from long nights, her voice soft but steady, the kind of strength that doesn't need to be spoken. They didn't have much. Sometimes the electricity went out. Sometimes dinner was whatever Emma could stretch. But in the small apartment filled with laughter and resilience, Karen learned her first lesson. Survival can be an art form. At school, she struggled. Dyslexia made reading a battle, and classmates mocked her for it. Teachers thought she wasn't smart, but they couldn't see the spark in her imagination. When the world told her no, she learned to answer back with a joke. Humor became her armor, and her language of hope. Her heroes weren't beauty queens or movie stars. They were comedians. Richard Pryor, Moms Mabley, people who turned pain into punchlines. And as a child, she promised herself, "One day I'll make people laugh too." But laughter couldn't shield her from everything. By her teenage years, she dropped out of school, experimented with drugs, and battled depression. Still, something deep inside her refused to surrender. She wasn't running from reality. She was running toward a stage she hadn't found yet. That stage would soon appear in the unlikeliest place. San Francisco, late 1970s. The fog rolled in from the bay, wrapping the city like a secret. Somewhere in a tiny theater lit by flickering bulbs, a young woman stepped onto the stage. She had no fancy costume, no Hollywood polish, just raw truth and a voice that demanded to be heard. Her name was Whoopi Goldberg, a stage name born from humor and rebellion. Whoopi, because she refused to take life too seriously. Goldberg, because she thought a Jewish name might help her get work in show business. It was part joke, part survival strategy, and entirely her. Before that stage, life was messy. She'd battled addiction, lived in poverty, even cleaned houses to survive. But she never stopped performing. In community centers, in small comedy clubs, in front of anyone willing to listen. She told stories about race, womanhood, and identity with disarming honesty and electric wit. Then came The Spook Show, her one-woman performance that changed everything. In it, she became multiple characters: a little black girl who wanted blue eyes, a junkie mother, a surfer from Malibu, switching voices and emotions in seconds. It wasn't just comedy, it was revelation. One night, among the audience sat a man who would alter her destiny. Steven Spielberg. He was captivated by her vulnerability, her brilliance, her truth. He saw not a comedian, but a storyteller powerful enough to carry an entire generation's pain and hope. He offered her the role of Celie in The Color Purple. It wasn't just her first big break. It was the moment the world finally looked up and said, "Whoopi Goldberg has arrived," and Hollywood would never be the same again. When The Color Purple premiered in 1985, Hollywood didn't quite know what to make of Whoopi Goldberg. Here was a woman with no movie star looks, no pedigree. Yet when she appeared on screen as Celie, she shattered every expectation. The world wept with her. Critics called her a revelation. Audiences saw something they'd never seen before. A black woman carrying an entire film on her back with grace, heartbreak, and truth. The movie earned 11 Oscar nominations, and Whoopi became an overnight sensation. But fame, as she would soon learn, is both a blessing and a beast. After The Color Purple, the offers came, some brilliant, others disastrous. She dove into comedy with her trademark edge, starring in Jumpin' Jack Flash and Fatal Beauty. But the magic of her first performance seemed impossible to repeat. Still, Whoopi never stopped experimenting. She didn't want to be just another Hollywood actress. She wanted to be Whoopi Goldberg. Then came Ghost, 1990. As psychic Oda Mae Brown, she was hilarious, soulful, and unforgettable, the emotional heartbeat of a supernatural love story. When her name was called on Oscar night, Whoopi broke into tears. She became only the second black woman in history to win an Academy Award for acting. That golden moment was more than recognition. It was redemption. For every door that had been closed, she had kicked one open. Through the 1990s, she became a cultural force, hosting the Oscars, starring in Sister Act and its sequel, and voicing iconic roles in The Lion King and Star Trek. She wasn't just in Hollywood anymore. She was Hollywood. Whoopi Goldberg had risen from the projects of Manhattan to the pinnacle of global fame. But even as the world laughed with her, few knew the pain that still lingered behind her smile. And soon, that pain would come crashing into the spotlight. At the height of her fame, Whoopi Goldberg seemed untouchable, beloved by millions, decorated with awards, unstoppable on screen. But even the brightest stars cast the darkest shadows. In the early 1990s, her relationship with actor Ted Danson became a national obsession. They were an unlikely pair, Hollywood's golden comedian and the rebellious queen of wit. But when Danson appeared at a roast in blackface, an act meant as satire but seen as deeply offensive, the backlash was immediate and brutal. Though Whoopi defended him publicly, she became a lightning rod for outrage. Headlines didn't just criticize, they crucified. Suddenly, the same media that once praised her now turned on her. Hollywood, always hungry for controversy, began to whisper, "Is Whoopi finished?" Her film roles dwindled. Projects were canceled. Producers hesitated to work with her. For the first time in her career, Whoopi's laughter fell silent. Behind closed doors, she wrestled with isolation, heartbreak, and exhaustion. She had fought her entire life to be seen. And now she was being seen only through scandal. But even then, she refused to apologize for being herself. "I'm not perfect," she said, "but I've never pretended to be anyone else." It was a moment of reckoning, when the line between fame and failure blurred completely. And yet, in true Whoopi fashion, she wasn't done. From the ashes of ridicule and rejection, she would rise again, older, wiser, and sharper than ever. Her second act would not come from Hollywood's approval, but from her own voice. And that voice was about to echo across television screens every morning. When Hollywood turned its back, Whoopi Goldberg didn't chase after it. Instead, she turned her pain into perspective, and her silence into strength. The early 2000s marked a shift. The film scripts weren't coming like they used to, but something else called her. A place where she could speak freely, challenge ideas, and laugh again without a script. That place was The View. In 2007, Whoopi joined the daytime talk show as co-host and moderator. Many saw it as a step down, but it became her reinvention. Her sharp wit, empathy, and fearlessness electrified every discussion. She didn't just host conversations, she commanded them. Whether the topic was race, politics, or faith, Whoopi brought honesty, sometimes messy, always real. People who once saw her as just a comedian now saw a leader, a woman unafraid to stand her ground in front of millions. And slowly, America began to remember why it had fallen in love with her in the first place. Meanwhile, her career took on a new meaning. She became one of only 18 people in history to achieve the coveted EGOT, winning an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. Each award told a story of resilience, evolution, and defiance against every label Hollywood had tried to stick on her. She also returned to producing, mentoring young artists, and lending her voice to causes she believed in, from LGBTQ+ rights to racial equality. Whoopi had reclaimed her narrative, not through another blockbuster, but through authenticity. She no longer needed to prove she belonged in Hollywood. She had built a place where Hollywood came to her. Whoopi Goldberg's story isn't just about success. It's about survival, transformation, and impact. Few artists in history have crossed as many boundaries, defied as many stereotypes, or touched as many lives. She became a symbol for those who had been told they didn't belong. Women, black artists, people who didn't fit the mold. Her triumphs cracked open the door for others to walk through. Without Whoopi, there might not have been a Viola Davis, a Tiffany Haddish, or a Lupita Nyong'o. Each of them stands on the foundation she built, a foundation of courage, truth, and laughter. But her legacy isn't only on screen. She's also a teacher, mentoring young comedians, supporting independent films, and encouraging artists to tell stories that matter. Her words often remind them, "Don't wait for permission to be yourself. Nobody's going to hand you that." Through her career, she redefined what power looks like in Hollywood. Not the kind of power that dominates, but the kind that endures. She proved that humor can be weapon, art, and healing, all at once. And perhaps most remarkably, she's never lost her ability to connect. Even today, sitting on the View's stage or walking a red carpet, Whoopi Goldberg radiates a rare authenticity, a mix of mischief, wisdom, and humanity that no fame can replicate. She isn't just an entertainer. She's an institution, a living reminder that laughter can change the world. With age came perspective. The glitter of Hollywood faded, but Whoopi Goldberg found something far more valuable: peace. She's lived through the highs of standing on Oscar stages and the lows of being ridiculed by tabloids. She's loved deeply and lost quietly. 3 marriages ended, but her devotion to her daughter Alex never wavered. Motherhood became the one role that grounded her. Not a performance, but a purpose. In interviews, Whoopi often laughs at the idea of perfection. "I'm not a saint," she says. "I'm just trying to do better than yesterday." It's that humility, that groundedness, that keeps her real in a world built on illusion. Beyond the spotlight, she has used her platform to advocate for causes close to her heart: children's rights, LGBTQ+ equality, and racial justice. She has also written books, launched charitable projects, and spoken openly about aging, grief, and self-acceptance. Where once she sought validation, now she seeks balance. She doesn't chase the red carpets anymore. She enjoys the quiet. Mornings with coffee, laughter with friends, and the simple joy of still being here. In her later years, Whoopi has become more than a performer. She's become a storyteller of life itself. She reminds us that fame fades, applause ends, but character endures. And perhaps her greatest lesson is this: you don't have to fit in to matter. You just have to keep showing up, with truth, with courage, and maybe with a laugh. From the narrow hallways of a Manhattan housing project to the grandest stages in the world, Whoopi Goldberg's journey is a testament to what happens when resilience meets laughter. She never followed the script that Hollywood expected. She wrote her own. A story where humor disarms pain, where truth defies beauty standards, and where a black woman from nothing becomes everything. Through every triumph and every tear, Whoopi proved that greatness isn't about perfection, it's about perseverance. That even in the face of ridicule, laughter can still be an act of courage. Today, she stands as a bridge between generations, the voice of wisdom, rebellion, and relentless authenticity. She's the reminder that it's okay to be loud, to be different, to be you. Because Whoopi Goldberg didn't just entertain the world, she changed how the world listens. And when the lights dim and the applause fades, her legacy remains, not in statues or trophies, but in every person who dares to dream without apology. So laugh, speak, shine. Because, as Whoopi once said, "You can't be afraid to live your truth. That's the only real role you'll ever have."